As one of my esteemed Rabbanim, Harav David Gottlieb Shlita, says, there are two ways to hide a diamond. One is to bury it so nobody can find it, and the other is to mix it up with mundane items like toy diamonds. In the case of the sin of the golden calf, the Chet HaEgel in this week's parasha, the general flow of the story seems to be that the Jewish people bowed down to an idol right after Har Sinai, and everybody focuses on that. However, the truth of the story is that only a few actually bowed down to the idol, a tiny minority, probably just the Erev Rav, the Egyptians that came along with the Jews when they came out of Egypt. The rest of the 3 million Jewish people were doing something else. We're going to get onto that in a minute. Now, if we look closely at that Pasukim, we can see all of this. We don't need to go to the mystical sources, the hidden sources. It's hiding in plain sight. So let's take a look at the language carefully. The Pasuk says, the people saw that Moshe delayed in descending the mountain, and they gathered round Aaron and said, rise up, make for us gods that will go before us, because this man Moshe brought us out of Egypt. We don't know what happened to him. The problem begins not with a desire to abandon Hashem, but with confusion and fear of Moshe's absence. They weren't looking for a new God. They were looking for guidance, for somebody tangible or something tangible to take Moshe's place. Even more striking is Aaron's response. After making the calf, the people say, these are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. But Aaron says immediately afterwards, tomorrow will be a festival for Hashem. If this was outright idol worship, why would Aaron sanctify in Hashem's name? Also note, why did it say, these are your gods, O Israel? Second person. Who's speaking? And also, finally, do we really believe that the Israelites were so stupid that they thought this golden calf they saw literally made before them took them out of Egypt? Something does not add up. So clearly, the calf was never meant to replace Hashem for the vast majority of the 3 million Jews. And only the 10,000 total that ended up dying, a tiny percentage, who were probably the Erev Rav, were punished. So it can't have been that they were doing idol worship. It was meant to be a replacement for Moshe to connect them to Hashem. So everyone thinks that the main message of Tisa is how bad the Jews were. But that's not true. The real message is the ending of the story. The real message is the ending of the story. Hashem said to Moshe, "V'shalachti lefanecha malach." I'm going to send an angel before you from now on. I'm not going to lead you myself anymore. When Moshe told Bnei Israel this, "V'yishma ha'am et hadavar hara'a hazeh, v'itabalu v'lo shatu ish edyo alav." When they heard this horrible thing, that Hashem wasn't going to lead them personally anymore, they mourned. They didn't even put on jewelry. So Moshe said to Hashem, Im em panecha holchem al ta'aleinu mizeh. If you're not going to take us, we don't want to go. And then, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, Gam et davar hazeh asher dibarta e'eseh, ki matzata chen be'enai. Hashem said to Moshe, this thing I will do for you. Yes, okay, I'll lead you again, because you found favor in my eyes. So what was the sin? What was the big sin that we did that we're still suffering to this day from? Obviously, it wasn't idol worship. It was a lack of bitachon, a lack of trust. This one sin is something that even the greatest of the greats failed in, such as Yaakov preparing gifts for Esav and bowing to him. It came from a place of humility, of goodness. We felt we didn't deserve Hashem. And Hashem held that against us. Nobody wants a friend or a spouse or children who are constantly feeling unworthy, not believing your promises to love them and look after them, even if it's coming from a good place. Trust is the foundation of any relationship. So, to atone for this, let's discuss some of the laws, the halachot of bitachon, of trust. It's a mitzvah. We all have to trust in Hashem. Some people don't even hold it as a mitzvah. They hold it as a prerequisite for all the mitzvot. So, this is going to help us hopefully do teshuvah for the Chet HaEgel and bring Mashiach. Now, people are very confused about bitachon. There's always an argument. Someone says, just trust in Hashem. And the other person says, but you have to make a hishtadlut, you have to make an effort. And then the first person says, but it's a mitzvah to put your trust in Hashem. Don't you know the story of the man who sold his donkey and put his full trust in Hashem and he became a millionaire? And the other person says, don't you know the story of the person whose child was sick and he didn't take him to the doctor and the child died? This is actually a battle between someone whose soul is rooted in chesed, who generally finds it very easy to trust in Hashem, and somebody whose soul is rooted in gevura, justice, who finds it very hard. So what is the answer to this puzzle? Well, it's actually quite simple. We have a mitzvah to make hishtadlut, to make effort, but we also commanded to realize that we are only doing that hishtadlut because Hashem commanded us to, not because we believe that hishtadlut has any power on its own. It doesn't. We have to keep that in mind. And we have to keep in mind that blessing and success come only from Hashem. This is why the Tzemach Tzedek says in Derech Mitzvotecha that when it comes to Hishtadlut, we're not allowed to make even one extra drop of effort more than is required. If we need £5,000 to get through the month, we must calculate exactly how much effort it takes to earn that, and then do that and nothing more. So, why does Hashem want us to make an effort? There are many reasons for this. But to cut to the chase, His blessings are so lofty that they are mamash not compatible with the physical world. They're too holy for that. They descend from the highest of heavens down to the level of Gan Eden. But to make that leap into the physical world, they need a vessel to be made by our own efforts. If they were to come any other way, the miracles would disrupt Hashem's plan for a natural world. This is of course possible. It's possible for Him to do it, but it requires a huge merit, a huge zchus. Therefore, we need to partner with Hashem, and through our efforts, especially our efforts of prayer, of tefillah, we enable blessings to come down through non-miraculous means. Or at least that's how it appears, and that's the point. It really is coming only from Hashem. This helps explain another halacha about bitachon. The more bitachon we have, the less effort we need to put in. This is what RabbiYehoshuaSimons, Zichron Tzadik Livracha, wrote in Etz Arnaf Avot. He brought a story from the Chafetz Chaim. When people were being drafted into the army, they came to him and asked what to do. The Chafetz Chaim reminded them about what it says in Avot. Whoever accepts upon himself the yoke of Torah, the yoke of government will be removed from him. Rav Avadia asks, so then how was so many yeshiva students being drafted? And he said that the heavenly court deals with people in a measure for measure way, mida keneged mida. If they dedicate themselves to their Torah study with strength and unwavering commitment, without being interrupted, the yoke of government is removed from them completely. If they're lazy and undedicated, their acceptance of the yoke of Torah is weak, and so the removal of the yoke of the government is also weak. So yes, indeed, the greatest tzaddikim do not need to put in effort, any effort. They can sit back and do nothing but learn Torah all day long, and Hashem will bless them. Although this is something only 1 in a million can achieve. Everybody else who does this will be punished. The blessings that Hashem did send for them will remain for their soul in Gan Eden, but they will cause sorrow down here on earth due to not bringing the blessings down to where they were meant to go. So yes, we are all meant to engage in effort. We are meant to live a natural life. We are meant to take out life insurance, go to the doctor when we're sick, teach our children a trade, and ourselves we have to work and not sit around and learn Torah all day hoping for the best. And when it comes to our friends, we have to make sure to put in all our effort to help our friends when they are in need and not lecture them about having bitachon. However, we must always work on our bitachon, never letting our work and our efforts overshadow our Torah learning. And always remember that it's Hashem who sends the blessings, and He can and will give us a good life if only we trust in Him with all our hearts. Emunah means everything is ultimately for the good. But now, does bitachon mean we can expect the blessings to come out in a good way, or does it just mean that we feel that everything that happens is for the good, even the negative things, like it is today on Purim? Well, that's emunah. Emunah means that everything, even the bad things, are ultimately for the good. But bitachon, trust, means that we can trust that Hashem will make it good and sweet, and our prayers will come true in the way that we can visibly and tangibly see. We must remain optimistic at all times, even in the face of trouble, and certainly never panic and rush to a decision like Bnei Israel did with the Egel. The point of bitachon is to give us a life free of worry and anxiety, a life of tranquility and peace. Shar bitachon says that anybody can have an easy life, one where we don't have to do very much work at all, and have a tranquil life of peace, serenity, with our families, and have our dreams come true, if only we have bitachon. The only thing stopping us from having all this is lack of bitachon. This comes from love and fear of Hashem. Indeed, as we saw with Bnei Israel, bitachon is the essential ingredient for a good relationship, most of all, our relationship with Hashem. He promised to look after us and bless us and never abandon us, even when He hides. And by the way, I'm recording this today on Purim, and the story of Purim is Hashem's name is not found in the entire Megillah, but we're supposed to still remember that He's there, and all the mundane, seemingly natural events of the world are ultimately coming from Him. That is the goal of creation. We were always supposed to get to the point of Galus. Galus actually serves a purpose. We're here because the test is, can we keep the Torah and mitzvot and trust in Hashem, even when we can't see Him, and we haven't heard from Him for 2,000 years. And indeed, He's very proud of us. Look at you, right now, sitting, taking the time to listen to a Devar Torah, even though you haven't heard from Hashem for 2,000 years. It's like Rabbi Friedman says, imagine a father says, I'm just going to pop out. Can you make sure some dinner ready for me when I get back? and he goes for 2,000 years. And then he comes back and he finds soup on the table. Okay, the soup's a bit cold, but is his heart not going to melt? So remember, Hashem promised to look after us and bless us and never abandon us. Why should we doubt him? We shouldn't. We should be glad that he is our God and he's looking after us at all times and love him for it. And our bitachon will increase and we will not need anyone else, not even a malach. We only want you, Hashem. Shabbat shalom.